Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can, thank you. Away you go.
Sorry about that. Frank, first of all, it's been almost 8 hours since you've conceded a goal. Can you just talk us through the factors behind that? Do you think it's just because of the new players you signed in the summer, or is there more to it than that?
I think there's always different parts to it. The work we do on the training ground, which we've always done, but we've been very focused, and the players that have come in, individuals have made really good performances in that period, great levels of concentration and focus, which we've always been striving for, and then the collective obviously is a reflection of that. So it's something that's been driven by players, as it always will be, and we must never relax on that point. We must keep going because it's such an important part of the game, of course.
What kind of challenge is it playing Sheffield United? I know they got a draw at Stamford Bridge last season. They're not the kind of team that you can underestimate at all. No,
it's a big challenge, and I want to be clear going into the game that Sheffield United are an amazing team with an incredible manager who, if you look at the table, you'll see a position that is not, I suppose, false, but nowhere near should we take that as our guideline of the game that we've got in front of us. I've watched them play Liverpool recently, I've watched them play Manchester City. Most people would say are the best teams in the league. They run them both close, very close, and they are still that great team that had such a great season last year, so it's a very, very tough match.
Can I just ask you some injury news as well? What's the latest on Christian Pulisic? Is he fit to play tomorrow?
No, he's not fit to play. He's still suffering with his hamstring.
And how long do you think he'll be out for? Is he training at the moment, or?
No, he's not at the moment, no.
And Kepa, has he recovered from his shoulder injury?
Yeah, Kepa has recovered. He's still getting a slight bit of pain, but he's in the squad for tomorrow.
And finally, Kai Havertz. Obviously, he's self-isolating at the moment. Do you think there's any chance that he could be involved in the Germany games?
I don't know that. We have to wait until he's symptom-free first of all, and then when he takes his tests, which we'll have to take to try and get him with a negative test. So at the minute that's not decided, not clear.
John Southall, 5 Live.
Hi Frank.
Hi John.
Is the Christian Pulisic slightly worse than you thought? You say quite positive in midweek about it.
Yeah, to be clear, he trained at a low level in midweek when I had that when I made those quotes, and wasn't comfortable. So we have to keep looking for the right solution.
I know it's been early on in the season, but do you get the sense that this time around the title race is going to be a bit more open than certainly the last couple of years? Obviously, with the schedule that the big teams have got as well.
I think we always have to wait our time on that one because there's such a long way to go and so many points to be won or lost. Of course, the start of it has been slightly more open. We've all spoken about that pretty much every week. Some results that were slightly unexpected. What are the reasons? Is it crowd? Is it pre-season? Whatever it is, may level itself out. So I wouldn't jump ahead too much at the moment. It's very close.
With Thiago Silva, I'm sure you knew exactly what you were getting when he came to the club, but what kind of influence has he had on a day-to-day basis that you've seen down at the training ground, and how's his English coming on?
His English is improving, particularly the football side of his English, the important words on and around the pitch. His influence has been huge. Without the language, he's still his professionalism has been very clear. That rubs off on players. They respect him. His performances have been very, very good. He manages himself. He trains well. He prepares well. It's very obvious with him. It's understandable why he's had the amazing career he has had so far, and it's been great to have him as part of the squad.
Does he have a bit of an aura about him? Do you see that the players?
I was just saying, I think players, look up to him and how he goes about his daily business and then how he performs. I think it's great for younger players, every player in the squad. Certainly a pleasure to coach and manage a player with that much intensity and wanting to perform at the highest level. As I say, even at his age, doesn't feel that the age is a big deal. We're managing him slightly, but when you look at his performances and how he trains, it's just been a real positive story so far, and long may that continue, not just for him but for the influence he has on the team.
Thanks John. Moose, please.
Hi Frank, hope you're well.
Hi Moose.
You mentioned there the title race or trying to be more
frozen on me there,
in
Moose.
that title race.
Sorry, Moose, can you start again?
You've only lost one game so far this season, that's Liverpool.
Sorry, Moose, you froze on me halfway through that. Could you go again, please?
Yeah.
Sorry.
The title race, you said the title race this year will be more open. Chelsea very much part of that equation because you've only lost one game so far this year. Does that add to the pressure going to games against teams towards the bottom?
I'm not sure I said that. The question was whether the title race is more open. I didn't quite answer it that way. I think at the moment it's very close. It all remains to be seen. It's all will be on what is ahead of us all as teams, and I suppose at that point you only focus on yourselves. I'm pleased that we are one game unbeaten. We know maybe there could have been some points that we have lost to this point, which are a frustration. But I think looking back, that's a very slightly understandable in terms of the fact that the squad has been coming together and we're getting players back now, and we haven't had much time to work. So those things are in our hands. We have to just focus on ourselves. At the moment, it's close. We need to find a consistency in performance that we've found in recent games and take that forward. So that's just how I see it right now.
When you lost 3-0 at Bramall Lane, you were very critical of your team not being vocal enough. How have you improved that this season?
Well, I mean, we've made some changes in personnel. We've changed the squad. There's been a lot of people speaking about that, and I'm just talking about Thiago Silva. He is a player that brings an attitude, a professionalism that is infectious. The players are growing. At times last year we were a pretty young team, and definitely one of the games that sticks out in my mind is Sheffield United at Bramall Lane, where they beat us in every department, and that hardly happened last year. So we just have to improve it with the work that we do, with the way the squad grows. And that's a bit of a process, and nice test tomorrow to see where we go.
Thank you, Moose.
Go on, Moose.
Go on. Where you go?
I was just going to say, last one from me. The international break coming up, people like Reece James, who can't play 2 of the 3 England games, have been called up. It's difficult for you to talk too much about internationals going away, but how infuriating is it having this international period now whereby players who are tired of playing so many games twice a week are going to be playing maybe up to 3 internationals in some cases?
Yeah, I don't find it infuriating. I mean, I'm proud that players get called up for their countries, and Reece James is a great example. Of just getting in there. I would never want to take that opportunity away from them. I think it's part of being a top player. With Reece, it's going to look after himself because he'll be involved in the first one and come back to us. And players are in need of probably a bit of rest when you think there are 3 games for some of them. And on that one, I just try and have an open conversation, relationship with the managers of the team, speak with the players as they go, and try and manage it as well as we can.
Thank you, Olivia.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Timo Werner's played a lot of football recently. He was on the bench against Burnley, had to play 90 minutes, and then played 90 minutes in the Champions League as well. Do you plan on giving him a rest against Sheffield United?
I'm not going to give the team away, but I think it was clear that with the Burnley game I was planning on giving him a rest, and it was more because I had options and because of the journey to Russia and back, and Timo's played a lot of games, as you said. But at the minute there's always a balance in my job of players that are playing well and enjoying it and finding their way in the team and making relationships and feeling the league if they're new to the league. I think that's been a big deal for Timo as well, so I've been happy with that point. Of course, as we look forward, not talking about tomorrow necessarily, but as we look forward I will try to manage those minutes to keep him as fresh as I can, but at the minute he's going well, so we'll see.
You played 4-3-3 recently and got quite a lot of success. Do you feel like you finally found a formation, perhaps a formation that suits maybe your best 11, and you found a nice balance in your team now?
Well, in the last few games, yes. We played it a lot last year, but when we had the change of personnel in the summer and some of the players that came in, there was a versatility in the way they play. So I suppose things that we would normally work out in pre-season, we had to work out in real time. So we had a slight change in formation earlier with the 4-3-3 as well recently. I think it does give a good balance to our team. So there's a balance with the system always where you want to pick the right one, and then the players sometimes have to adjust for that as well. So you need intelligent players that want to take the information on board. We have that, so we just need to keep working on it and also be ready to be flexible if needs be at times.
Last one, please, Olivia.
Yeah, that's fine. And just finally, Olivier Giroud hasn't featured much this season. He comes across as the ultimate professional. What has his response been to that, considering how much of a run and a good run he had, especially last season, clinching sort of your top 4 spot? Yeah,
he's given a typically great response, which is to train as well as possible, support the group is amazing around the group. That's just a a fact with Ollie, and that's maybe not always a fact if people are out of the team, so that I can't speak highly enough of him on that side. It's a part of my job that I don't like with good players, top players and top people that are great around the group don't always play, but I have those issues. Tammy Abraham at the start, for at least half of last season, was one of the top scorers in the Premier League. When Ollie came in, he performed very well in restart for us and was a huge factor in us getting into the top 4. So I had difficult questions to answer, or selections in teams, and then I do rely on great professionals, and Ollie's absolutely showing that.
Nick Purell, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi Frank, thanks for your time as always.
Hi Nick.
You said on Wednesday, after actually you wouldn't have been best pleased to be on the wrong end of the decision for the second penalty and the circumstances around that, and you Chelsea were certainly on the wrong end of a call at Old Trafford, not to receive one. Do the football authorities need to ensure the VAR rules are aligned across all the top competitions, and does the system itself still need further work? I
think that the handball rule, which we adjusted in the Premier League, has not been adjusted on the Champions League, and from FIFA it seems this directive comes. It's a rule that I think universally is disliked by anybody who plays or watches or supports football. I can't back it at the in midweek when it gives us a penalty and a red card, because it doesn't feel right. So I think that has to be looked at in Europe in terms of how we move forward, and that one goes in our favour, and I think it's important to be open and honest about that. I said it after the game, and the one against Manchester United recently for us that goes against us, and we've inquired about the reasons for that decision. We've been told that it was a penalty, and VAR didn't take much time to look at it, and that goes against us, and probably lost us 2 points on the day. So with VAR and the subtle differences, we've got to make sure that VAR is there for a reason, to get decisions right with retrospect and time. For everybody on an even playing field, and it was just one that went against us there, and in midweek certainly we had one that helped us but had a big impact on the game.
Okay, thanks Nick. We've got time for 2 more, Liam Twomey and then James Ollie to finish.
Hi Frank.
Hi Liam.
Reece James' crossing has been a big asset to Chelsea pretty much since he broke through, but when you pair him with someone like Hakim Ziyech on that side, does that give Chelsea something that very few other teams can have, really, in that you can put in top quality crosses from lots of different angles and lots of different positions on that right hand side?
Well, I hope so, and that was part of my thinking when Hakim Ziyech comes to the club. The balance of the sides of the pitch, which are very important for us, and when you see, we knew Reece's quality last year in terms of crossing the ball. I knew it when I came to the club, and then when you think that you can have a winger in front of him that offers different angles and combinations on that side to put balls into the box, then I think it can be a big strength of ours. And when I say that, we mustn't forget that Aspie has been here for years, making big assists for the club at different times from all sorts of crosses and different angles. So when we look at the sides of the pitch, it's something that we want to exploit. We can get better at it. I think at the moment we're getting some praise for the side of the pitch, but I think as we move forward we can get better at it in terms of our execution and finishing in the box as well. But it's something that I'm happy with and we want to keep working on.
Last question, James Ollie.
Hi Frank, it's just a small sort of two-parter. It's a general one on penalty taking, if I can. Only Alan Shearer scored more penalties than you did in the Premier League, and I just wondered how you maintain that consistency over time. Did you have to, evolve your routine or change things to avoid becoming predictable? And secondly, as a coach, how much of that is sort of informed what you do now with the takers, or do you kind of largely leave them to develop their own methodology?
Yeah, you're actually not going to get the best answer from me, because I'm quite superstitious about penalties. I was as a taker, maybe that was part of my process of taking them, and I probably did adapt my style over the course of my career, depending on form, if I'd missed any opposition, which at times I focused on a lot, and then I came away from that. So because I was like that as a player, I tend not to go too much into the head of the penalty takers in our team. I trust them for the style and the way they take them. That's why they're in those positions, and I let them get on with it. I won't sort of discuss anything more in terms of going forward.
Okay, that's the broadcast selection.